If you run a specialty, premium, or a luxury brand or business, I'm talking about a small one, I want to talk with you about what you do day to day. The luxury sector is in the midst of great change, and large luxury brands are reconsidering their approaches. They're looking for new business models. They're looking for new approaches. Some of the superstars that have been called in to lead these businesses are stepping down, in some cases being pushed out, and that's because these brands have different priorities than you do as a small luxury brand. But they are discovering that they need to think more like small luxury brands. And I'm going to share with you my thoughts on what you should be doing day to day. My name is Andre Taylor, and on this channel, we explore luxury, premier living, and prosperity. In this video, I want to chat with you about small luxury, and specifically about what you should be doing if you run a small luxury brand. As I mentioned, there is great change taking place in the luxury sector, and the larger brands are reevaluating their approach. Now, one reason that they're reevaluating their approach is because of small luxury brands. They won't admit it, they may not even understand it, but the dramatic growth of brands has impacted the way individuals look at the large luxury brands. Everyone is expressing their own creativity and individuality, and they no longer feel that they have to be wed to a well-known large brand. That means that the landscape for selling luxury has changed. It also means that while these large brands are trying to figure out what to do and how to capture or regain market share, there is opportunity for you. But you must also understand where your focus should be day to day. What should you be thinking about? How do you lead your business day to day? Your approach should be very different than what you hear the large luxury brands talking about. And that's what we're going to talk about in this video. What should you be doing day to day? Where should your focus be? What are your priorities? And how do you grow your small luxury brand? I've been working with luxury brands, large and small, for decades. And one thing I've noticed is the gulf between what a large luxury brand is focused on and what a small luxury brand is focused on. It's fascinating. If you run a large luxury brand, you're thinking about many things that as a small luxury brand you should never be thinking about, or at least you shouldn't be thinking about it in the way that they do, as defining who you are, what you do, and where you put your attention. For example, are you thinking about your board? Are you thinking about your share price? Are you thinking about how analysts are talking about you relative to other luxury brands? Are you thinking about the politics inside your organization and how the market will read if certain people leave or are promoted or wind up taking a larger creative role? It may surprise you, but large luxury brands are consumed with things like this. Of course, they're also consumed with how they show up in the marketplace and their supply chain and what's happening internationally, whether China is going to result in the kind of promise that we've heard for so long. But every one of those things are things that you're probably not thinking about as a small luxury brand. Now you're thinking about whether or not an order that you placed is going to come in, whether or not you have the funds in your bank account to pay for that order, whether or not someone's going to buy what you've invested in terms of inventory. And you're probably thinking about the light bill and the internet bill, or a freelancer that is working with you and whether or not you can keep that person on. So you're thinking about very different things. You probably know who your clients and customers are. You probably know who the better clients and customers are. And you know whether or not you've had sales recently or not, and how things are going in a given day. You know this because you can't operate without knowing this. And that's one of the big differences between small versus large. Now, larger brands are realizing that they have to give more attention to things that are more meaningful to the success of the business. But even when you listen to where their focus will be, it is often on advertising, or maybe a new design approach, or laying off staff so that the bottom line will look better, or maybe reducing the number of stores. So these are very different priorities, which means that day to day, the kinds of things that a large brand is thinking about, whether their new campaign is running and how it looks in the magazine and who else is in the magazine, are things that you're not thinking about. And I'm glad, because in order to be successful at what you do, you have to become much more focused and much more specific. We can no longer expect someone to buy simply because of the brand name. We can no longer expect that when you release something, there's going to be a flood of orders just because you've released it. Customers are more discerning now. They're making better choices. They're weighing what they spend money on. And with inflation, they have to. They have to decide, do I really need something new here, particularly in the fashion category? Do I need something new, or is last season's fine? Should I focus on buying something that's luxury, or do I need to look at some of the necessities of running my household? They're also becoming a little bit more savvy about the quality of products. They're looking at products today and they're saying, okay, this is coming from a great brand name, but is it worth it? What is this material? Will this material hold up? Is this really 10 times better than this other product? And of course, many are turning to online ordering. They're going to Amazon. They're exploring brands they're unfamiliar with that look great, and they're trying them out. And they're saying, okay, this will do the trick. So as a small luxury brand, your focus has to take all of this into account. Now, the good news is that you're already thinking in these terms, and you're already aware of where you stand day to day. And what I'm going to give you are 7 ideas that I want you to think about and be aware of that will guide you day to day and will help you be more successful. Now, these ideas first came to mind for me during 2007, 2008, 2009. You remember those years? That was a time where I was building my luxury marketing practice, and my focus really was on sales training and customer service training more than anything else. And as I would speak to large luxury brands, I would see the difference in focus from small luxury brands. I used to think that because of my relative newness in this area, I was about 7 years in. Yes, that can be new in a business. But I was about 7 years in, and I was thinking about the changes that were taking place in luxury, the changes in the consumer. Back then, many of the luxury brands were not even online and were debating whether it made sense to go online. So I was debating all of these things in terms of whether or not my overtures were going to be successful. And I thought, well, maybe because I'm a relatively new name, maybe because there are other players who are more entrenched, maybe my pitch is not great, maybe they're working with these other companies and they have long-standing relationships, and those are reasons why I'm not able to close some of these deals. Now, all of those reasons were probably correct. But the other thing that was correct, and I'm going to emphasize here, is major change in the sector. Major change in terms of the way people were buying, the way people were weighing whether they should buy these products or not. And of course, there was an undercurrent of financial instability that was taking hold. Now, when you run a small company, you actually feel this quite quickly. And I felt it in 2006, certainly into 2007, and by 2008 we were well into it. So I was not surprised at what I was seeing. And of course, some of the brands that I was talking to were essentially saying to me, okay, no sales training, no customer service training. We're trying to figure out how to keep these doors open. Some of the brands like Barney's New York that I was pitching and presenting to, it wasn't going to happen because there was a major change afoot, and we all saw that change. There was a financial explosion or imploding, and many industries, including luxury, had to reset. And many businesses had to reassess where they are and suffer major setbacks, including my own. So what I saw 2007, 2008, 2009 occurring in many ways is similar to what I'm seeing today. Now, I'm not saying that we are on the verge of a financial collapse in any way, but I certainly am seeing the same kind of resistance, caution, change, movement in terms of management, large brands having to reassess their position, and some very known names struggling financially now for years, and it is now becoming public. Now, the first thing that I saw then, which was a necessity then, and is a necessity now, and many of the larger brands, believe it or not, did not have, was a big vision, a clear intention, a clear definition of where they're going. And it is my first recommendation for you as a small luxury brand. And this is a daily focus. You should begin your day reviewing your big vision, your big intention. What is it? Where are you going? And everyone who works with you should be enrolled in that big vision. Put it on your phone in your notes. Put it on a piece of paper, hang it in your office, keep it in front of you, because every day when you go to work, it should be clear to you. Our intention is to become a $10 million business, $30 million business, $50 million business, $100 million business. Our intention is to revolutionize this category. Our intention is to get the people who value most their footwear, their neckties, their sports jackets, their rain gear, whatever that is that you sell, to get that product into their hands. Now, when you have a big vision and big intention, you're not wondering what you're doing day to day. What many large brands have done, and many small brands do, is they're focused on survival. They're focused on plugging holes in a leaky boat. And it never occurs to them that they need to be sure they're clear on their destination. And so they drift, and they drift, and they drift, and they wind up somewhere where they didn't intend to be. So the first thing I want you to do is to be absolutely clear on what your vision is. Where are you going? It doesn't mean you can't change that, modify that, improve that, reword that. But every morning when I get up, the first thing I do when I start to work is I'm really clear on what my big vision is. What are those big goals? What is my big intention? And even if you're far away from it, you're reminded every day that this is what you're doing and this is why you're doing it. And it will give you that power and that boost that you need when you're deciding between one objective and another, one action and another, one conversation and another, one project and another. It will give you the clarity you need day to day because you'll always know where you're going. Now, the next thing I want you to focus on are yesterday's results. Now, here we're talking about numbers. What were your sales yesterday? What was your profit yesterday? How many pieces did you sell yesterday? How many inquiries did you have? How many outbound calls? How many emails went out? What was your open rate? What was your close rate? How many people clicked on the link? If you're doing advertising, what was your click-through ratio yesterday? How many views do you have? Are people spending more time watching your videos? All of these things are the numbers that guide your business. Now, there are many more, but you should always be aware of what those numbers are. If you've worked in retail, larger retail, you know that this is a practice of large retail. What are our numbers today? How does that compare to last month or last week at this time? Last week at this hour? How does it compare to year to date? And so forth. So being on top of what your numbers are will always give you a sense of how close you are to that big vision. And you'll get crystal clear about the kinds of actions you must take in order to get there. Now, not everyone will be good at their numbers initially. This is a process where you work at it and you understand those numbers that make sense and that you should be aware of. But if you don't start this process, again, you'll be operating in the dark. So you want to be absolutely clear on what your results are the day before and during the day. While you're working, you should know what your results are. What kind of progress are you making? Because all of this will guide your activities. It will guide your actions. And you'll be absolutely clear. By the way, your big vision should include numbers. That number one I talked about, it should include what your numbers are. How much you're trying to produce every week, how much you're trying to produce every day, how much you're trying to produce every month, how much you're trying to produce every quarter. You got the idea. You should be on top of all of these numbers. Now, your third focus is top prospects and deals. Who are they? What are they? Now, if you're always on top of who you're selling to, who is in the pipeline, who is likely to close, you are going to be able to close business. I think one of the great disservices that has happened in the luxury market is academic approaches that say, we don't sell, we don't ever make overtures, we don't do certain things because it doesn't look right, it's not at the right level, and all of these things. I think it's an outdated view. I think it's a view that will prevent you from being successful. Instead of talking about not selling, not marketing, the issue is, how do you do it better? How do you do it more elegantly? How do you do it being more client-centric? How do you do it with taste and with class? There's absolutely nothing wrong with calling a client and saying, I know you came in the other day and you really love that blazer and it looks so good on you. I'm wondering, have you thought more about picking it up? I've been holding it for you. Is it something that you can see yourself taking advantage of this week maybe? Or next week? I can hold it a little longer. Give me a call when you can. Let's chat about this. Let's see how we can get this into your closet. I think that that's selling. That's follow-up. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. And I know that there are all sorts of thoughts. I don't want to appear desperate. I don't want to appear this. I don't want to appear that. The old school sales powerhouses had client books. They followed up. They were gentle. They were professional. They were elegant. And they were serious. And they got results. And these chains that you see that developed over time, they didn't happen because someone sat back and said, oh no, we don't do that. Oh no, we don't follow up. That's why many brands are struggling. What you will find is sometimes just giving someone a call, giving someone a bit of a nudge, sharing more with them, following up more with them, communicating more with them will bring you top of mind. And that person will say, you know what, you're right, let's do this. So being aware of who there is that you can close and being focused on closing them is something you have to be aware of every day. And that includes, by the way, deals that may not be customers per se. There might be deals that are longer term deals. There might be a corporate deal you're doing. There might be a partnership deal you're doing, or what have you. But you should be aware every day of what those deals are. And you should be focused on moving those things along. Now, number 4 is about your current projects and actions. What are you working on outside of your sales activities that will move your business along, and are you taking action on them? Now, here's the point. Some of the things that you want to do to grow your business will take a little time to develop. Maybe you're working on a marketing campaign. Maybe you're working on a letter to your best clients. Maybe you're organizing your emails. Maybe you're cleaning up your database. Maybe you're shooting some video for social media. Maybe you're following up with a potential graphic designer who can help you, or a videographer, or someone who can be involved in the business. Maybe someone who is going to do your windows if you have a retail business, or you're planning an event. Well, those things don't happen on their own. They happen because you're working on them day to day. So what are your projects and what actions are you taking toward them? Because remember, in addition to looking back and understanding your numbers and understanding what took place and what kind of progress you're making financially and quantitatively in terms of units and in terms of some of the metrics associated with social media and other factors, you have to look ahead. Part of business always is looking forward so that when you get to those dates, you're 95% there. You're ready to go. And you're not thinking that morning, oh my gosh, tomorrow's a holiday and I need some kind of promotion. Where's the people we were going to send this to? What are we going to say? How are we going to say it? Oh, who do I need to call to participate in this? Oh my goodness, do we have enough people to do this event? So you're always thinking about your projects. You're always thinking about your actions. And that is the next thing that I want you to be focused on every day. Now, your fifth area of focus are your key players and your participants. And before I talk about that, I want you to know that you are a key player on this channel. So I want to ask you to like this video, to comment on it, to share it, and of course, make sure you are subscribed to this channel. And I need your participation. Tell me what you think about these ideas, how you'll put them to work, and if someone you know could benefit from this, please let them know about my channel. Now, every business needs people in order to make it work, whether those people work for you directly or whether those people are team members that work across town or work at another business or on their own. It needs participants. And you can look at this in many different ways. But the key issue is, who are the people who can advance my business? One way of looking at that might be, who are the testimonials that I need to capture? You did some great work for someone, but you never captured a testimonial. That person never gave you a referral. That person loves what you do, but they're hesitant in letting someone know that they've worked with you. Well, follow up with them and see if they will be helpful in that regard. At the same time, let's talk about your team. You have a team that's working with you. Maybe that team needs some training. In fact, I know that team needs some training, particularly if you're in luxury, because today training must be ongoing. It can't be once in a while. That person will have to be reminded about your products, your service, your policies, the way to communicate with your clientele, the right language to use, the follow-up that you'd like to see, the way you'd like to care for your clients and prospects. So it's important to really think about the people that drive your business. Some of those people might be online. Maybe this is a time for you to reach out and make some overtures to get some more people who are connections online. That is something that should happen regularly. Maybe you want to write some personal notes to those individuals. Maybe you want to acknowledge their posts and encourage them. Think about the people that guide your business and how you can use some of your time in a given day to nurture those relationships, to move those relationships along, to get ideas, to get inspiration. You see, people, I believe, is going to be one of the secret weapons going forward. It might sound obvious to you, but people grow businesses. And you might think in our world that it's all about algorithms and apps and these various technological moves. Many organizations organize themselves around technology, meaning the technology is not a support. A technology is a replacement for dealing with people properly. Oh, well, the machine says this, so here's what we have to do. I can't seem to get this done, so can you come back and by then the machine will work? No. We've got to focus on people. So who are those people? Who are those participants? And how do we make humanity a bigger part of our business? In one of my videos, I think it's What's Next in Luxury, I talk about humanity and how important that is. And with AI, humanity is going to become more and more of a factor because we are going to have to use our capabilities as human beings to elevate what we offer. So a good place to do that is by focusing on that every single day. Number 6 is your incoming cash and receivables. And boy, do I have a story to tell you here. Every business has got to focus on its numbers, not only the numbers that transpired the day before, but whether that money is in the bank. Have you collected the money? Has the prospect agreed? Has the prospect signed the contract? Has the prospect submitted payment? Because until the money is in the bank, everything else is theoretical. And so, although people pay instantly these days, and it's a wonderful thing, often you will have scenarios where you're waiting for cash and you need cash to keep the business going. Every business has to be very clear on its cash position. Not only clear on the cash position today, but the cash position going forward, given the demands of the business. You might have to make payment for a shipment. You might have to pay your overhead. You might have to pay some of those people that I mentioned who are participating. They're expecting to get paid. And often you might think because the customer says, yes, I'm moving forward here, that you're done. And you're not done. You're not done until that cash is in the bank. And not only that cash, but you're clear on the additional cash that's coming in. Now, if you are in a position where you cannot foresee the cash that you would like in your business and know that you need in your business, well, that tells you that there's some marketing and there's some selling that must take place. There's some promotions that must take place. Perhaps there are some leads that you should be finding in order to grow your business. So all of these elements that I'm describing, all 7 of them, are watch points that will help you understand where you are at any given time and what you should be doing. Often a business can be a profitable business, but because of the way a customer pays, it doesn't feel that way because you're waiting 3 months, 6 months to get the cash. I was communicating with a major retailer online, and I commented on his post. And then someone else commented, and his comment was, how about paying your vendors? And I felt bad for this vendor because this particular retail brand is known for stretching those payments out, 120 days. And that's just the nature of some of these businesses. So sometimes you can land a big client only to find that you don't have cash to fulfill the order, and that actually having that client is more burdensome than anything else. So understanding your cash needs, your cash position at any given time, and what you should be doing about it is essential. So number 6 is your cash and your incoming receivables. Where are you and what should you do about it? Now, the 7th thing that I want you to focus on are outgoing payables. Your cash that has to flow out of the business. When must it flow out of the business? And where do you stand today? And where will you stand tomorrow? How does that relate to the cash that's coming in, the sales activities, the marketing campaigns, the people that are involved? You should always be aware of where you stand there. The reality is that you will often be in a position where you will want to make payment to someone, but because of a bottleneck elsewhere, you won't be able to. It's a very difficult place to be. It's an awkward place to be. It can be an embarrassing place to be. And certainly it's a place where you don't want to be. But it is one of the realities of running your business. Now, when you run a small luxury brand, generally it is a little bit more manageable than when you're dealing with millions of dollars that you have to deal with. And you may have a scenario where the vendor, for example, won't be able to continue to fulfill orders for you because of where you stand in terms of outstanding invoices. Or you might be in a position where you need something done in order to fulfill a client need, but you can't address it until you've made payment. And so these are all factors that you have to understand when it comes to building your business. It's just a reality. You have incoming payments and you have outgoing payments. And the pressure associated with growing the business often comes down to your capacity to pay for the things that are required so that you can advance. It's key that you think about these 7 elements every day, that you plan for them, you focus on them, and that you're always on top of them. Now take a look at this video.